Now, our pod is called Rushing the Field because we love when that happens. It's a lot of fun. It's one of the things that makes college football what it is. And rushing the field implies an upset. So we're not necessarily going to pick a upset at home where you'll rush the field, but we are going to make upset picks each week here on Rushing the Field. And for week 1, I'm going to let you go first, Joshua, because I'm intrigued by your pick. You're going out west.
Out west. I've got TCU at Stanford. Stanford is a 9.5-point underdog. A lot of this has to do with returning production for Stanford. They've got 9 starters coming back on offense, 7 starters coming back on defense. Certainly was not a good team last year, but I do think having that experience certainly helps them. I think their defense is going to be much better than it was a year ago, but that's also a low bar. They were one of the worst defenses in the country. They could put it together. TCU, on the other hand, wasn't a year that they wanted last year. They kind of had to go to the portal to retool. I think there's a bit of a hangover that could happen for them in this one. But there's also this intrigue for me where you have a Friday night game. It's 10:30 on the East Coast. You got to travel west to go and play it. Like, this gets spooky for me. I think it's a tough way to start off the season. And Stanford, I think they're going to want to come out and kind of prove to people that they're not the program that they saw a year ago that couldn't get right, and they could pull off a bit of an upset here.
So you're saying it will have some old Pac-12 after dark vibes?
It's once you're somebody who has stayed up and watched a game at 1 or 2 a.m., it's really hard to let the Pac-12 after dark leave you. So yes, I think the vibes still remain.
We need to come up with a name for that, like the former Pac-12 teams when they're playing these games, because we got a bunch of them in the Big Ten. Got a bunch of them. Well, again, a couple in the ACC, a bunch of them in the Big 12. Like, we need a name for it. But yes, I completely agree. Weird things do happen at the witching hour, which is the Pac-12 after dark hours. So I like that pick as well. And I'm going to give you one that I think is maybe more popular, at least with the spread. And that's South Dakota State at Oklahoma State. So first of all, don't schedule a Dakota. Like, what are we doing? You don't want to schedule any of these FCS teams with Dakota in the name. Stay away. The risk is too much. These are the really good FCS programs, especially South Dakota State, 2-time defending FCS national champion. They've had 5 draft picks in the last 3 years, which is more than some teams in the Big Ten and the SEC, which is crazy. You've got a quarterback in Mark Gronowski, who had lots of offers to go to Power 5 programs, Power 4 programs, or just really any FBS program. He decides to stay. You've got a great linebacker in Nick Martin, who's going to play in the NFL. This is a team that's won 29 consecutive games, 28 seniors on this roster, 8 returning all-conference players. It's only a 9.5-point spread for Oklahoma State, which is a team. The Cowboys are going to contend in the Big 12. We talked about how close and bunched up this league is. So first of all, you don't schedule these games. And I don't really trust Oklahoma State in these games. Last year, they lost to South Alabama early. Sometimes they get good by the end of the season, but they struggle early. And I think this is going to be one of those situations. So I am for sure taking the Jackrabbits with the points, but I also I think they might be able to win the game.
It's not far-fetched at all to believe that they would win this game. I would certainly take them with the points. I think that's a really smart bet if you're somebody who's into that. But the idea that they understand how to win with consistency, and for Oklahoma State, we know that they can win, but it has not been as consistent.
Yes, especially early. Again, the moral of the story by the time we get to the end of the weekend is probably not to schedule any Dakota teams. Colorado's got one.
Yeah.
And so does Oklahoma State. And
I almost picked Colorado for an upset.
Yeah. And if you're listening to this after that, hopefully we're right. But it's a tough start to the season for Colorado and Dion's company, because they've also got Nebraska in week 2, which will be on our air, which I think could be a interesting game for a team that's probably very frustrated. They lost to Colorado a season ago.